How's everybody doing?
Am I supposed to be up here yet?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, Keith and I are going to share the stage today. It's going to be kind of fun. And so we're going to share it. Wow. That's hilarious. We're going to share the clicker. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you all for showing up today. I feel like we all have a little extra we're carrying around, which is exciting. You all mean so much to us. I love this community, this group of people. In this room, we have so many different ideas, different thoughts about how to view the story, the Bible, God, life in general. It's just beautiful to be a part of a group of so many different people. The diversity is great.
Yeah, I love that. Do you guys know how we met? No. So, what's that?
I was walking along a beach, and I saw him from afar.
Yeah.
Thought I must get to know that man.
Simple admiration. Are you recording how we met? Don't record this. It was a joke.
It's a joke.
No, we have a mutual friend that used to be a chaplain at USC. He was the humanist chaplain, which means he was ministering to lots of people even outside of the faith. But he's a former evangelical guy, and his dad is still a practicing hardcore evangelical. His dad's Tony Campolo. He's Bart Campolo. And Bart knew some of my story and some of my leaving a lot of the church world and religious world behind, but still wanting to minister to people. And he had met Tony, or you reached out to him? How did you meet him?
When I was going through the process of leaving the place I was in, Bart actually had some really beautiful advice on how to do it in a graceful, loving way. And I was so thankful for Bart. And he said, you know what, there's a guy in Costa Mesa you need to get to know. And his name is Keith. And so talk to Keith, and you're going to find a lot of healing in that relationship, which I have. Yeah, we get to meet every Tuesday, and I become either blubbling, crying Tony, or just smiling, happy, ready to face the day, or maybe sometimes both.
Yeah. I still remember our first meeting was, of course, where would we meet? Thank you, King Coffee. Thank you, Ty.
That's what we're sponsored by here.
So King Coffee, and I heard his story. He heard my story, and then I came when he was still at Garden Grove and checked you guys out there. Sat in the front row, and it was one of his last services. You were doing music, and I met a bunch of you, and just thought, man, this guy loves people, and he loves the scriptures, and he's trying to help make sense of them in life and practical. Fast forward to us reconnecting, and then in May meeting a bunch of the board and recognizing that maybe come June when you guys were going to need a space, that this space that, as Ty and I would attest to, needed new life, needed vibrancy, because I've had this space for about 10 years. And we've had churches meet in here. We've had all kinds of really good, I call it a center for good. And we've had all this good stuff. And I just thought, oh my goodness, Tony and Ethos need to come here. And they weren't sure, because they were like, but they thought from Garden Grove, Costa Mesa was like, Egypt to them, and maybe not even cool. And I'm like, no, trust me, Costa Mesa at least is as cool as Garden Grove. So get your butts over here. Trust me. And Joe had to do some convincing of Tony, because Tony was like, where and how far? And Joe's like, it's not that far. I drive it in. And so anyways, long story short, I just want to say how grateful I am as well to have this guy as another one of my friends on the journey, along with his family, and then obviously the board and the staff and each one of us. My dear friend and I, Ty, go back 30 years, literally. We've longed for a new kindergarten. Yep, that's right. We're not as old as you think we are. And we have longed for a place for us to hover and be and share our lives and our hopes and desires again. And so it is a type of, you guys have helped us by, we don't go far. We kind of live in this vicinity. So for you guys to come to us was a great treasure also. So we didn't have to go far to go to church. So, or we wouldn't go to church. We would just text each other holy scriptures. So I love you guys, and I'm excited about what we get to share today in light of Thanksgiving, and for us to have a real honest conversation about not the holiday, but the heart posture, okay? But the holiday can bring up an opportunity, right, for us to talk about thankfulness. So they're all yours, buddy.
Oh, man. All right. Well, I get to start. By the way, Keith, I just want to add a little more syrup to the already sweet, sugary thing we're doing. Keith is the only one that's ever, he's become our admin. we hate using that term pastor, but
Yeah, leadership.
admin, leader, whatever. He's made board meetings actually interesting, if you can believe that. I've never been to a board meeting or a leadership meeting where I didn't want to, punch puppies or whatever. Things that are bad. It's the first time I ever thought, wow, this is really interesting. I enjoy this. I feel connected to people who are actually going somewhere. First time in my life where I've been like, wow, this is good. And I think some of you on the board and leadership team, you can probably attest to that as well.
That's awesome.
You feel good? I feel good.
I feel great.
All right, here we go.
I feel pumped up.
Let's talk about Thanksgiving by showing you a devastating picture of a fire.
Oh, yeah.
So my friend Dan, he was up north, and he was hit by this fire. And many of you know some people who are affected by it. And I remember hearing over and over again, it's getting closer, it's getting closer, it's getting closer. And Dan lost his home and still has his family, though. And he got online on Facebook and he said, look, the fire was an absolute catastrophe. But it helped me become aware of how grateful I am for life, family, and community. And I thought, oh, it's beautiful. But then there was this other side of me, I call it the Tony Wuerfel side, that looked at like the darker element of that. Because I think sometimes we have to go through, or we don't have to, but we only are grateful when what? When there's like a tragedy. It takes something terrible sometimes for us to say, I kind of enjoy family and friends and community. Sometimes that's important. And I started to kind of move through this idea. Why is it that in the middle of catastrophes, one of the few times I actually stop and say, I'm kind of thankful. I used to be a runner. I used to run for in high school on the track team. And
that's not him.
That's not me.
Neither one.
I'm not even sure I'm as fit as the lady in the yellow in that picture. But I used to run track, and I ran the mile. And I remember being so excited because this was the only real sport that I could participate in. It happened on a Thursday. And so I remember I couldn't play other things, but I could run track. And so I was fairly good at running the mile, it turns out. And I got to do 2 seasons of track. And what was interesting is every single time I ran, I would start out the same. I would get ready. I'd start stretching. I'd drink. I always had lemon and salt. I don't know why. We just thought that was going to give us energy. And then I'd have a little Gatorade to put it down with. And I'd be doing that. But the whole time I'd be looking for that one guy who I knew was going to be the best. I'd look for that one person, and I would essentially tell myself, I'm going to follow you this whole race. I'm not going to let you out of my sight. And so because of that whole mindset of not running my own race, running someone else's, I came in second every single race, which happens to be 22 races. First season, people said, weird, dude, you came in second every single time. And then the next season, people had bets. And they would say, I bet this is the year he's going to get third. Some people, this was your year. It's gonna be number 1 year. You're going to do it every time. Certain people graduated. That next year, second every single time. And so after the races, this is what people started to say to me. They would say, dude, you just need to be thankful, you're on the team. Right? You should be thankful. You're on the team. You get to run. I guess so. You're right. I should be grateful. Good. At least you have the ability to run. I remember they would talk about people like with one leg or different things like that. At least you have the ability to run, Like, yeah, okay, you're right. Second place, still placing. You're right. First loser, that hurts a little bit, but I still got a ribbon. I still won. I got points for my team.
Nice.
I remember thinking, yeah, but always gratefulness, thankfulness for me started to be connecting to like the consolation prize, right? Because in our culture, we're very focused on progress. And when you don't get to a certain place, when you don't get to number 1, if you don't progress enough, well, then you fall back. And then you end up saying, well, at least I have this to be grateful for. How many of you have ever said that? Well, at least.
Yeah.
and the thankfulness or gratefulness came out. I think for many times, gratitude and striving are oftentimes kind of become opposites.
Yeah, they're like at odds with each other.
Yeah, they seem to battle each other. And it's as if you can't be really grateful and yet strive to be better in our culture today. And so I would argue today, and what Keith and I want to share with you is there is a way to be grateful and thankful without the tragedy being the only thing that brings you into it. We can learn to be grateful. We can learn to live in gratitude the entire time. And it turns out being grateful, living in a mode of like thanksgiving is actually really good for you. So Keith, he's done some really interesting study over this that I think you're going to find fascinating. I'm going to skip that quote since I already just basically shared it.
Okay, good. I'm going to let you keep clicking.
Oh, okay,
right?
perfect.
Good, yeah. Let me also say this, which I hadn't thought of until we were talking about how this idea of thankfulness is almost like this, I feel sorry for you, but I don't know how to join you in feeling sorry or in your pain. So instead, I'm going to use thankfulness as a little antidote, a little ointment to kind of help you versus just joining you in feeling second, right? Like, golly, right? Like we say it, and then it's so often, Ty and I, with the death work that we do in families, we hear so many families grieving. And the thing they don't want to hear when they've just lost a loved one is, well, at least, right? At least you had them all these years, right? Or, well, now they're in a better place. Or give thanks that they're suffering, versus just being able to join people in where we're at. Wow. And I think one of the things I'm loving about Ethos is we are learning and attempting to be a people who can just join people, right? And that's part of where we say we just hold space, right? We just hold space for people to be where they are. And a lot of times it first starts with us being okay where we are. And I think we are on the move as people just becoming comfortable in our own skin, right? Finished and unfinished all kind of at the same time. Finished being kind of fully human, and unfinished in this work that continues to happen within us. And thankfulness, I think, does not have to be a second place. Well, I don't know what else to say, so I'm going to say, well, at least, or gosh, you should give thanks. And therefore, it's more like a shaming than an actually joining in. Does that make sense? Anyone connect with that? Any thoughts real quick on that? Just I see a lot of nodding, so I guess that's good. So here are, I think we've got 5 outcomes. There's a whole bunch. I did a bunch of the scientific research around gratitude and thankfulness. First one is if and when we choose to actually become, and this is all going to be about not just doing it once, but almost like beginning to practice in the way of giving thanks. How we do that, Tony's going to talk about. But one of the first things is it's a great way to combat stress. There are actually things that happen in our chemistry that help us. Everything from helps improve our gut. You know how we have the stomach is that the gut is full of emotions. So it helps there. It helps us in our activity levels, helps us actually become more active. And even if you have IBS, you know what that is? Irritable bowel syndrome. It's been known that an attitude of gratitude, practicing thankfulness, can have positive impacts on that as well. As well as you can see, evidence, chronic stress can quicken cancer progression. So the opposite is true also. If we're constantly anxious, worried, resentful, anger, which is hard to be both at the same time, right? It's hard to be super resentful and having gratitude. That those negative are going to push us more into illness.
Can I jump in?
No.
Okay,
Yes,
perfect.
of course.
Yesterday, man, I just thought about this. Yesterday was, and you said this so beautifully about Thanksgiving into Christmas.
Oh yeah. Yes. Do it.
I'm going to let you say you say it so much better than I was going to. But Danielle and I were at Best Buy yesterday because we're gluttons for punishment, and I'm there and I see this guy in a Prius, hatchback open, and he just bought a 75-inch TV.
Ah, boy.
And I wanted so badly to take a picture, except the parking lot was a zoo. But there's no way this guy's going to get that flippin' TV in the Prius. And so you can see the stress of him, like trying to fit it in.
I love it.
And I love that, or I don't love it. I think it's sad. In our culture in America, we are so stressed, but we're also the biggest consumers. And I wonder sometimes if that might go hand in hand. We aren't happy with what we have, and so we get even more stressed.
Right. Which leads into this whole idea of Thanksgiving is this day of giving thanks. And how ironic, isn't it? That the day of giving thanks is followed by right? The largest shopping day of the year. So much so that now it doesn't even start on the next day. When does it start? Right? It was midnight, 10 o'clock, and they go, and it's like, shit, we're going to give you a half a day, America. We think a half a day is good to give thanks because, be God, the malls need our help.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Right? And it's just like this invitation into kind of insanity.
Yeah.
Black Friday showed up on my calendar as an actual holiday.
No
Wow.
kidding.
Yeah, I don't know, and like,
Yeah,
if I'm started doing that, would make sense if they did, but
right.
what was that?
Yeah, listen to NPR this morning. More and more countries are following our lead with Black Friday. They don't know what the heck Thanksgiving means. Some of them have not adopted Thanksgiving, but they have adopted Black Friday.
Amazing.
Yeah. Go. Okay. Second, it builds emotional resilience. When we are thankful, it affects moods. It definitely it lifts our moods. It lifts depression. It's been known to help those who suffer from PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and those that are trying to recover from trauma. When they begin to practice and engage in Thanksgiving, it literally begins to shape how their ability of their body, mind, and soul to respond more positively to those things. Third is it fosters connections. They did a bunch of studies around sororities and during that Big Sister Week. And one of the things they do during Big Sister Week in a lot of sororities is the big sisters adopt a little sister. And it starts out with anonymous, and they don't know who their big sister is. And they begin to give gifts to these little sisters. And the little sisters, they begin to measure their sense of thankfulness and gratitude and connection they feel with each other. And once they begin to get these gifts, and then it's revealed who their big sister is in this connection bond, their whole connectivity and ability to, in their brain and heart, and it basically, what I found is it basically ingrains their connection with one another. Ty and I came from a big church, mega church, and our biggest youth ministry event of the year was when we did houseboat trips. Houseboats, we would rent like 6 houseboats, take 100 kids, 12 to 15 kids per houseboat, and you walk on the river, Sacramento Delta. You go up on a Sunday, you get in your houseboat, and Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I mean, it's just this beautiful time of water skiing and we pushed a couple houseboats together and all
Wish
the kids.
I'd been in your youth group.
I know, right? 100 kids up on the tops of 2 houseboats each night with music and a talk. But the highlight that all the kids looked forward to was the last night. And each houseboat individually spent 4 or 5 hours, and every kid wrote 3 affirmations about the other 12 kids in their boat. And they would spend 4 to 5 hours Thursday night with going through, and that kid would get flooded with 3 affirmations from every kid in the group. And it was tears. And the bonding that happened was tremendous. And I still see because of Facebook, kids from my youth group 25 years ago that are still gathering together once a year, once a month in relationship. And so many of them came out of our houseboat trips where they affirmed and gave thanks to one another.
Which is so rare because in our culture, we're used to looking on Facebook and saying, that's what I'm not.
Right.
We get all those messages.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Improves our sleep. We sleep better. We sleep longer. We have deeper sleep. Why is everyone laughing?
Because I went like this.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, well, yeah.
Sleep.
Right. What is that? Right.
Tell me about that one.
And even it affects the blood pressure when they do sleep studies. The blood pressure of a thankful person that is practicing that seems to differ from those who are in a different kind of space. Pretty cool. And then there's one more, I think. Oh yeah, rewires our brain. They say that basically here's how one scientist said it. Neurons that fire together wire together. Neurons that fire together wire together. Pathways that are used are strengthened. The stronger the pathway, the easier they are to access. When I was first starting my journey after my own, kind of emotional turmoil blow up, I started in these men's groups, and then we learned the word surrender. And they said surrender is like a muscle, and the more you practice surrender, the stronger the muscle gets. And if you don't use surrender, and you don't know how to lay things down, right? Or trust God or trust community with it. But if you practice it, it's like a muscle and it gets stronger. And I've learned to surrender more and more things, right? And as I learned to surrender, now I've got daughters that are 17 and 19. And Alex last week got her driver's license. So I have to surrender, and I walked her to the parking structure at Fashion Island, and she didn't remember where she parked. Well, this is worrisome to a dad, right, of a 17-year-old that wears, kind of high shorts and cool Doc Martens and his legs in between, right? And her legs are like this tall. She's all legs, legs in between her shorts and her Doc Martens. And is walking parking structures because she forgets where she parks. Right. So this can scare the heck out of a dad. What am I saying? Oh, so I'm learning to. So first I went shopping. I went online for mace and stun guns. Because I'm going to do stocking stuffers. Right. Let Uncle Ty pitch in on those gifts. And then my other 19-year-old, this is her first year in college, Pepperdine. And so anyways, that's like worrisome. And that can be fear-producing. And what I've had to practice is the same thing I've practiced with other areas of my life. This is another act of surrender. I can do my part. Stun gun and mace, right? And then there's a trust that has to happen. There's a surrender. There's an equipping, like, okay, Alex, what will you do next time? And I didn't get mad at her. I just followed her around until she found her car, right? And then I said, hey, what's a trick you can do for your, to remember where your car is? I said, you're always taking pictures. Why don't you take a picture of where you're parked? Where you're at on the parking structure, right? Anyways, so I'm learning to surrender. In the same way, thankfulness, I realized this week, is a muscle. And the more I can practice gratitude, the stronger that muscle gets. And if I don't practice it, what happens if we don't use it? We lose it. It atrophies. And so the more we begin to practice an attitude of gratitude, the stronger the muscle gets, and we can develop a lifestyle of gratitude and be strong in it. So we need some ways how. I think Tony's going to hit those.
Perfect. Let's talk about application. By the way, I love that we actually talk about application. We don't just say, you should be grateful.
Yep.
And that's the end of it.
You should.
Let's talk about how to live this now. One thing is, I pulled from some of my favorite philosophers and writers, practice awareness. I think this is so good. He says, I am daily deeply grateful for a sunny day, a tasty piece of fruit, and a summer evening when it's warm enough to sit outside without extra layers. He must have lived in California. Uh-huh. Gratitude is a daily activity in recognizing goodness all around us. It's not a polite way of opting out of ambition. I thought that was so interesting.
So good.
How often do we just stop and say, what's going on around me?
Yeah.
Like what is, before the crisis,
right?
What's going on around me right now that's good?
Can we do that for a minute?
Yeah.
Let's just take a minute. Just you don't have to use words. Just take a minute. Practice awareness.
What's good right now that's happening around you?
See, right?
I can tell you for me.
Yeah, what came up?
I have a newborn.
Yeah.
And she's keeping us up at night.
Yeah.
And I am so grateful to hear that little cry, even though sometimes it is a lot. I'm so grateful for that new life. That's reminded me of all the new life in my life right now. Just the past year and a half, just being aware of that rather than seeing the crying as a curse. It's actually a really beautiful thing. Yeah. I'm aware of it more and more. My beautiful wife, who just is so patient and loving, I'm aware of it in so many new ways.
I just got aware again, and then we'll let a few of you, I think we've got time. I got aware, I just looked over and saw all the beautiful art that surrounds me. And the creator of that art
right there
is Ty, and Ty would tell you that he was made and designed to be creative, and he would say we all are. So I was just deeply aware of that we have a space, a template for art to express. And then I looked over, and I've got lots of new friends, and Joe is becoming also just a dear friend. And so just appreciating him. And then I heard the kids giggle and laugh, and I just thought how cool that we have a space and a place. And Ethos is spending money as part of our budget, that we have a room for our kids to have a ministry place where they're ministered to that we didn't have before. So how about you? Anything bubble up? What bubbled up?
I'm really thankful for my brother.
Your brother?
health.
Yeah,
I was in the ER 2 weeks ago.
ER, you were? Okay. All right.
But things are fine.
Good.
So very aware of the fact that I can still walk
Yeah.
and breathe well.
Good. That's awareness.
I'm aware of how welcoming everyone in this room is.
Oh, that's good. That's a great awareness. Thank you for that feedback, too. Yeah. Cool. That's good. Good practice.
Let me give you more. Another thing I'm learning is to stop comparing. Alan Watts says this, one of my favorite quotes by him. He says, focus on your journey, not someone else's destination. I think for me, how often do I look where someone else is at my age? I think, oh, they have it all together. They've got this and this and this, and what do I have? I'm 38. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do. I'm this or this, and it's so easy. It's so easy to forget your journey, who you are, what you're becoming, to enjoy that. That's beautiful.
What? It robs, doesn't it? Great for sure. Yeah. Yeah. In recovery circles, I've heard them say we often compare our insides to someone else's outsides.
Wow.
Think about that. Because when we're looking at someone, we don't know
You're right.
what's going on inside. We think we know.
Yeah.
We have a perception, a projection, at best, a guess at what's going on in someone else's outsides. And yet, as we begin the comparison, we know what's going on in here. And when we compare, I'm comparing my insides to someone else's outsides, and that's a lose battle, right?
Have any of you ever had something tragic or maybe just minimally tragic happen, and you've noticed certain people come up and they almost have like a joy in helping you? Does that ever happen to anyone but me? Maybe I'm just speaking on my own. Yeah. They're almost really, really excited that you're in pain and now they can help you. Oh. I wonder how often it is, because maybe some people have been doing the same thing you're doing to them. You're comparing, and to see you human has all of a sudden enabled them to be human. What a dark twist on comparison. I think that's what happens when we do. Interesting. Robs us. Another one, be present. Bren Brown. A failure to draw pleasure from our current circumstances is an indication of a problem which will likely dog us, even if we reach the pinnacle of all our ambitions. Our problem is not having enough. It is not daring to relax our guard long enough to draw pleasure from any advantage. I find that really interesting. When we stop learning to be present, when we aren't present at the dinner table, and we're too busy thinking about everything else that's going on, when we're at the dinner table and we're just thinking about the game that's about to start, those things, I think, rob us of the gratitude and the thankfulness we can have right there with the people around us. I know. Again, for me with kids, it's very easy for me to forget. My kid just asked to throw the football with him, but I'm so caught up in doing all this other stuff that I miss a beautiful opportunity to be present to my kid and experience gratefulness, thankfulness. And I wonder how many of you have that happen as well. We rob from the present.
And written by, this quote is from an author who's written multiple best-selling books, who's done TED Talks that have been viewed 7 million times. And, and to think, yeah, she gets it, that here's this great pinnacle of ambition, but when is it ever enough? Can she be happy with 7 million? Or was she terribly unsatisfied at 2 million? Right. And she says she sees that within her, this temptation to always want more, and instead to say, I just want to be present with what is.
And notice the daring action is to relax your guard, not put it up. Learn to relax your guard. Enjoy the thing that's taking place. Stop reaching out. Learn to reach in. I thought this one was really interesting. Plato says, what we desire most is already found within our own reach and deeply within self. I want to go a little deeper and share with you what that means. How many of you have ever thought, if I just got that workout equipment, I'd be healthy?
Who's bought the workout equipment?
If I got the Bowflex, if I got the this, the that, and by the way, I think someone did purchase a Bowflex in this room, and you are looking healthy.
Yeah.
It was Mike. Good.
It's working. Keep doing it.
Yeah, keep doing it. I think for many of us, though, we think if I just had that thing, if I just had the juicer, I'll be healthy. But what happens for many of us is we get the thing. We finally get the thing, right? It arrives. Amazon did its thing. It gets there. And after a month, what is that thing doing in your garage? It's like sitting there. What is it doing in your cabinet? It's not juicing, right? And you've just gained 5 more pounds, and you're like, what happened?
Now you're ticked.
I reached out, right? I wanted to be healthy, so I got the things. Many of us, it's in relationships. If I just have another relationship, if I just might meet the right person, then I'm going to be happy. It's always out focused. Whereas if we learn to focus inward first, if we learn to find gratitude here, if we learn to be at peace here, then the outward stuff makes sense. You can utilize the outward stuff. But if it's not first found here, you're not going to use the juicer. You're not going to go work out. You're working out for all the wrong reasons, probably, right? And then this one, I like this. Learn to give thanks. There's this moment in John that I find deeply interesting. It's right before a miracle takes place. And again, the miracle is something so much bigger than just getting more fish and more bread, multiplying those. What's interesting is a whole community comes together and they learn to give, and it multiplies out of this love and connection for one another. That's the deep, deep miracle there. And what's interesting is for the miracle to take place, notice this, there is a time of public thanksgiving. When you stop and you publicly say thanks, you are enabling others to be brave as well, to share the thing they're thankful for, they're grateful for. It actually opens up a huge miracle that takes place. I say miracle very different, don't I? Miracle. Miracle.
Who said that? You said that?
I would argue that's what prayer is for the Jewish people. Prayer was not a please God, rub the genie and get something in return. I'm in a bad place, do this for me. Prayer for the Jewish community was this: in sorrow, we publicly say what's going on and we invite others in, and in celebration and expectation. And so in this moment, what happens is there is a thanksgiving call. There's a moment of gratitude. We're so thankful for the stuff we have now. It's only a couple fish, it's only a couple loaves, but here's the thing. We're thankful for it. We're grateful for it. And it's not that it's that it is. And when we identify that that thing is a blessing, it's here, it's present, and we're here together enjoying it, that's when the thing can multiply. That's when gratitude and thankfulness can multiply and become something so much powerful, so much more tangible.
And I told Tony that it's my hope that we begin making this an annual experience together, that it's the weekend after Thanksgiving, that Ethos would begin to have kind of a public opportunity to begin to practice the giving thanks. We're going to model it just a little bit today in a really cool way, but that each year this becomes part of what we do, and say we're going to open up the microphones and let people stand and give thanks for the cool stuff happening.
Video goes here.
Okay, so we have a video to show you, and this is a wonderful. It's only 6 minutes long. I found it this week and thought I want us to do this. So we're gonna do part of it, but watch the video and then I'll explain what we're gonna do. Okay, here goes. Stall. No. You said. Oh yes.
Earlier this week when we had a meeting, you had described what gratefulness is.
Oh, want me to give that definition?
Yes, please.
Good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what I had learned from a mentor in my life is thankfulness or gratitude is wanting what you already have. Right? Making a list of the things we have and then saying, I want those things. So the example I gave is I have a Ford Focus. Would anyone like it? Because I don't want to have it, right? It's for me, right? Here's ego talking. I don't like how I look in it. It doesn't feel like a cool car. It feels like the payments. I could go naggy, right? And what does that do? Robs me of any thankfulness. But if I can get it in my noggin, okay, I want to choose, right? To give thanks, even if I'm not feeling it yet. Here's where the muscle comes in, like not wanting to do the reps, but we go do it, And then we're glad we did. So I go, okay, I got this black Ford Focus. It does get good, and I start to find the positives. It's getting me from A to B. It doesn't take repairs. It looks cool enough. Tony liked it.
I like it. I think
Right?
you look very cool.
And then I said, okay, I want that. I want what I already have. That's thankfulness. And sometimes we have to do the work, right? I want the person in my life that I already have, not someone else, not another one, not more of them, not something different. Thankfulness, wanting what we have.
Plus, we could. But I'll trade you my Versa for a
Well,
time.
I thought, he may offer the Versa, but I don't know. That may be from the frying pan into the fire. No, I like your Versa. Yeah, now, right? Comparison. It does work. Super thankful. Okay, we ready? Okay, here goes. I'm in a lab coat. Trust me, I'm in a lab coat. Okay, so in front of you are pieces of paper. We want to encourage you now. We're going to give you time to do this exercise. If you need a piece of paper, you can raise your hand and we'll get you one. There should be pins as well in the brown little boxes. And we want you to write a letter, just like they did, to a person that has had some of the most greatest influence on your life, preferably someone that's still alive. And you don't have to, just preferably, but it's okay. This is your exercise. You will not be forced to read these to anyone else. Okay? So take a few minutes. Leah will turn on some background music, and let's do that now. We won't go long, maybe 3 to 4 minutes. Okay? Let me first ask how is this for you? How was this exercise? Someone share.
How did this land for you, writing this out?
I thought it was good. It allowed me to think of things that I thought for so many years.
Really?
Yeah.
Love that. Good. Okay.
It's amazing. What I love about it is I look to a person who is older, and I want to say to them what they need to hear before they go on.
Yes. Oh, I just got chills. Yes. While you still can to them personally, right? Yeah.
Wow.
What a blessing. Someone else? Yes.
I'm an others-focused kind of person where I'm really thankful for everybody and everything, anything, and I try to find the silver lining always and just keep, a positive focus. But I've never said thank you to myself.
Oh. So did you write a letter to self?
I bawled my eyes out.
Love it. Bawled your eyes out. Wonderful.
I'm about to put it back in.
Wonderful. You did too?
Well,
Love that. Good.
the spirit is moving.
I wrote one, and I'm gonna do what they did on the video. I just felt compelled. This was not planned. I did not plan to write to this person, but here goes.
Hello.
Rod,
What's up, man?
how are you, buddy?
I'm good. How you been?
I'm good. Everything okay?
Yeah,
Good. Hey, you got a minute?
I sure do.
You are on speakerphone, and there's a small group of folks gathered in a room here at the loft. We're doing a spiritual community gathering, and the exercise was to have people write a thank you letter to someone that's meant a whole heck of a lot to them, and then if they're willing to read it to them. So I want to just model it, and I just got you on, and so I'm going to read it to you now, if that's okay.
Well, okay, yeah.
You don't have to, no response needed. Dear Cousin Rod, you are an incredible example of a man who loves his wife and children and will do anything for their successful growth and happiness. I also see in you a wonderful example of a humble and committed leader of his students, his teachers, and his administrators at the school that you lead. You bring out the best in them, and your words and your life inspire them forward. Lastly, I love the concern and care you show me and my daughters. After my divorce and the death of both my parents, you must have known how lost and lonely I would feel. So you've taken it upon yourself to invite us over, me and Avery and Alex, and bring us into your family circle every Christmas. I still feel part of a family as a result, and so thank you for how you've impacted me. I love you.
I'm speechless. I love you too, buddy. That was very, very cool of you to say.
Yeah, thank you.
That means a lot.
Thank you. Well, you mean the world to me, and you know me. I would have wrote about my mom or dad, but I said we need to do somebody who's alive, and I just thought of you. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Can I come over? Can I come over on Christmas?
You bet.
All right. Well, I love you. I'll catch up with you later, okay?
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, see you, Rod. Bye.
Thank you for doing that, Keith. That was,
Yeah. We have to model it sometimes.
I want to share mine. My person's in the room. Danielle, I got the chance to meet you, to date you, and love you when we were still high schoolers. You were creative, happy, and driven. I walked with you hand in hand through college and watched your determination and power shine through. You became someone who could change the world, and I loved watching you become that person. And now, watching you age with grace and beauty, giving birth to our third child, able to give more of yourself than humanly possible and still wear that high school smile. I'm in awe of you, and I'm so grateful to travel this journey with you. And so today I wanted to let you know, Danielle, I'm so grateful for you and the person you continue to become. So here's a chance, if you'd like, please come on up. Do we want them to come up?
Yeah, come up to the microphone.
Come on up if you're okay with that. If not, you can just share where you are.
So my wife's in Tahiti right now, so she's probably rolling her eyes all the way from Tahiti, even though she's not hearing me. She's sensing that I'm on the mic, and she's already giving me this. So I think those of you guys know me, know that this is like super true. And just like Pam, I'm thankful to myself. And it's not just a self-centered kind of thankfulness. I'm happy with who I am. And I think that everyone should be happy. And I'm not trying to preach, but I think you have to be happy with yourself before you can be happy with the things others do for you or what you can do for others. So I wrote this, and I think it'll make a lot more sense, hopefully. The person that has made the biggest impact on my life is me. I value myself and the person I am, which allows me to see and help others see the value in themselves. I know life is not always rainbow and butterflies, therefore I enjoy the clouds and the rain, and find comfort and invite others to enjoy the warmth of a fireplace and hot chocolate. Life on earth is not a gift, and tomorrow's may not come, so I live every day to the fullest. Nobody is perfect, including me, but I am the best me there will ever be. And I love me. I am grateful for the person I am, and so I'm grateful for the things and the people that I have crossed, for without each and every one of them, I would not be me.
I just got a text back from my cousin. Just sitting here reflecting on what you said and sharing it with Shannon, his wife. It totally blew me away and made my day. Thanks for being bold enough to step out in uncomfortable waters, at least uncomfortable for most. I love you, cuz. I love your girls. Keep doing what you're doing. You're making an impact. See you at Christmas.